Protein is probably the most misunderstood nutrient among athletes. It's something that all people need to eat in order to survive, and because muscles are literally made up of protein, it's especially important for athletes. Supplement companies have been trying for decades to convince athletes that they need to take pills or powders with astronomical amounts of protein in them, both before, during, and after exercise, in order to get the maximum results from their training. But what does the actual science have to say about this topic? Exactly how much protein do athletes really need? What foods are the best sources of protein, and what are the best times of day to eat these foods? And do athletes really need protein supplements? We'll be answering all those questions and more today on the Soccer Fitness video blog. Hello, I'm Richard Bucciarelli. Let's get started by defining exactly what protein is and how it's used as a macronutrient in the body. Simply put, protein is muscle. Well, not exactly, but all of the muscles that we have in our body are made up of protein, which we get from the protein in the food that we eat. With the right training load, see the links above or in the video description below for our previous video blogs all about that topic, plus the right amount of protein in the diet, we can increase both the size and strength of our muscles and perform better in sports and in daily life. So protein has two main functions in the body. The first is to maintain the muscle mass that we already have, and the second is to repair muscle damage and synthesize or build larger muscles. One final thing to keep in mind, though, is that we only need to eat enough protein to repair and rebuild muscle after exercise, and that any extra calories that we get from protein that are not used in this rebuilding process will get converted into fat. Why is that so important? Well, let's just say that the nutrition and supplement industries have a long history of pushing and marketing products to athletes, including hundreds of different types of protein supplements that provide way more protein than athletes actually need in order to meet the demands of exercise and recovery. And as you'll hopefully learn at the end of this blog, these supplements are a waste of money because you can get all the protein you need from regular food, so you should probably just avoid them. So let's get back on track. Protein consumption is important for athletes, but exactly how much protein do athletes need to eat every day? The best available guidelines and recommendations can be found through government-regulated organizations, and two great ones are the Dietitians of Canada, or DC, and the American College of Sports Medicine, or ACSM. And both of these recommend that athletes consume 1.2 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, depending on training. To put this number into perspective, let's examine what it would look like for a competitive male athlete who weighs about 75 kilograms. At the high end of the DC and ACSM recommendations, this athlete would need to eat 150 grams of protein per day. So that seems easy enough, but how much is that in actual food terms? To answer that question, let's have a look at the protein quantity of some common foods. 1 cup of yogurt has 6 grams of protein. 1 bagel has 10 grams. 1 egg has 13 grams. 1 cup of almonds has 22 grams. 1 cup of tuna has 24 grams. 1 salmon steak or 1 cup of cheddar cheese both have 25 grams. And 1 chicken breast or 1 beef steak each have 32 grams. So, assuming this athlete is not a vegetarian or vegan, they should easily be able to combine these foods into their daily diet to get the recommended 150 gram per day total. As a general rule, try this formula. Eat 3 meals and 3 snacks per day, that's 6 feeding times in total. Aim for 30 grams of protein in each of the 3 meals, and this can be done with a larger serving of protein like chicken breast or 2 to 3 eggs, plus some smaller complementary proteins like cheeses, nuts, and seeds. Aim for 10 grams of protein per snack. Once again, this can easily be done by combining things like nuts, seeds, cheeses, beans, and legumes. If we're talking about a vegetarian or vegan diet, it may seem a bit harder to get the recommended amount of protein per day, but it's actually a lot easier than you think. And this is because almost all foods, including plant-based foods, contain some protein in them, and combining different plant-based foods together can still easily allow the same sample athlete to hit the target of 30 grams per meal and 10 grams per snack. Let's go ahead and have a look at a quick example for a full vegan diet. A meal that contains 1 cup of brown rice has 4 grams of protein in it. 1/2 cup of tofu adds 10 grams, which takes the total up to 14. Add 1/2 cup of lentils for an additional 10 grams of protein, taking the total to 24 grams. And finally, 1 whole wheat pita on the side gives an additional 7 grams of protein and takes the total for that meal up to 31 grams, passing the 30 gram per meal cutoff. So getting the recommended amount of protein per day for athletes, even at the highest range of those recommendations, is fairly easy using either an animal or a plant-based diet. But what types of protein foods are the best to include in an athlete's diet? For this, we need to look at the chemical composition of protein in a bit more detail. Proteins are made up of small molecules called amino acids, or AAs for short, and there are 16 different amino acids in the human body. Of these, 9 are considered essential amino acids, which the body cannot synthesize on its own and so needs to get from the diet. So the most important types of proteins to eat are either those that contain all 9 essential amino acids or those, when you combine together, give you all 9 essential amino acids. All animal-based proteins, including meats, poultry, and fish, contain all 9 essential amino acids, but most vegetarian or plant-based proteins don't. So planning protein consumption for a vegetarian or a vegan is a bit more difficult, but it's still very easy to do. For a quick example, let's go ahead and re-examine the vegan meal that we mentioned earlier. Typically, plant-based proteins have lower levels of either the amino acid lysine or methionine. Wheat and grain-based foods like rice, pasta, or bread are typically lower in lysine, and bean or legume-based foods like peas, lentils, and chickpeas are lower in methionine. So combining these two types of foods together, like in our dish with brown rice, tofu, lentils, and pita bread, gives the essential amino acids needed without having to consume any animal-based proteins. The final thing to consider with protein for athletes is the timing of protein intake and how it affects the repair and synthesis of muscle protein in the body. A great recent review out of the University of Guelph recommended that post-exercise feeding of essential amino acids, and specifically the amino acid leucine, which is primarily involved in muscle protein synthesis, significantly enhances both the rate and magnitude of the physiological processes that lead to synthesis or building of muscle protein than exercise alone. The amount of leucine needed to achieve this maximal training effect, according to the study, was as little as 2 grams. So you do need to eat protein following exercise, but you don't need more than you could easily get from a simple snack or meal, as we described earlier in this video. So again, supplements with significantly higher amounts of protein in them that are touted as super post-workout foods that will help build more muscle and build it faster are simply not supported by evidence. You can easily get all the protein you need and save lots of money in the process just by eating regular protein-rich foods. Alright, so to summarize, all athletes need protein in their diet, and a range of 1 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day is more than sufficient. Aim for 3 meals and 3 snacks per day and eat about 3 times more protein in the meals than in the snacks. Eat animal-based protein foods that contain all 9 essential amino acids, or combine plant-based foods to get all 9 essential amino acids. And finally, avoid protein supplements, as they do not provide any additional benefits over and above what you can easily obtain in food, and so they are a waste of money. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You can comment on any video and feel free to share it with anyone who you may think will find it interesting. That's it for the video blog this week. We'll see you next time, and until then, keep reaching your soccer fitness goals.